Welcome back to the Student Recap Podcast. Today we have our 13th episode, D&D Dungeon 2. We are here again with Diego and David Bainey.
Hello.
And I guess we'll just discuss what has most recently happened in our campaign since the last time. Diego, you want to start?
I really don't want to talk about it considering last D&D session.
Oh yeah, Diego died.
I jump into portal to 8th Ring of Hell. Weird slug thing takes us back. I turn into second lowest form of demon. I go back in to demand my form return to me. He returns me into lowest form of demon. I go back one last time. They never see me again because our DM said, and I quote, "And you die."
Basically, you got Thanos snapped by the slug.
Correct. I was Thanos snapped.
But before that...
A slug with arms. Will has also already died. He had a 3 in intelligence, so he ran into a wall, and then he tried to punch one of the spiny devils. He succeeded on the punch.
And then proceeded to die.
But then he did not succeed on the follow-up death from from the rest of the spiny devils.
Really happy I didn't die on the spiny devil war.
Yeah, so...
You did fall unconscious. Diego has fallen unconscious / died more than anybody else in this campaign so far.
That wouldn't be so if Will would roll higher.
So?
Then I would be conscious the same amount of times as someone.
Yeah, so we got into this little house before we got to the slug, and I captured some little lizard folk. We killed their parents. Well,
one of their parents. The other one tried
parents.
to drop magma on us.
Yeah, we almost got burnt to a crisp there. And then I just used intimidation check, and we were able to use our little lizard folk as scouts for a while, but then once we got into a little combat, all but one of them died.
Yeah, so now we're stuck with just one of them, so we're just going to use him as our slave.
And it's not even the one that was able to one-hit KO one of our enemies.
I must admit, that was impressive.
I think it was D20, it just smashed the enemy.
Yeah, he just D20 slit its throat.
Yeah, it was kind of funny. We won. There was this one time we all made a wisdom check to try and succeed against a demon, and 2 of us rolled nat 20s.
Yeah.
2 of us succeeded on the throw. Otherwise, 2 of us got terrified into getting paralyzed and just falling to the ground.
Yeah. So, that was fun. I was one of the ones who got nat 20.
Also, after all the deaths, I made myself a backup character so that I can just pop out of the woods as soon as my current character dies.
Yeah, we heard about that. I can't believe Benjamin thought it was a centaur instead of a satyr.
And then after we killed that those enemies, they had this little portal that they were summoning, and this is the portal in which Diego repeatedly tried to keep jumping into. And before he died, we all jumped in the portal, and
they got sent back once. They were just like, no, but I kept jumping in because I was A, stupid, and B, reckless, and C, just wanted to look cute again.
Honestly, we should have just stayed out and let the DM play around with Diego in there. The slug comes in, Diego gets turned into a demon. We all leave without being ordered to follow the slug's commands or get killed.
Yep. On the bright side...
That's part of the reason I made myself a backup character.
On the bright side, my new character is overpowered. 13 in strength, 20 dexterity, 15 cons, 16 intelligence, 16 wisdom, and a 19 in charisma.
I just think that we could have defeated that massive slug because Win had a pile of salt. If I had rolled a d20 and aimed it exactly at the slug's eyes, then we could have blinded it, and a blind slug can't do anything, so we could have just
you're talking about a blind demon slug who Thanos snapped Diego into death.
But we didn't know that yet.
It's very possible that you would have burned out his eye, and he would have burned out all of our lives instantly.
We would have to create an entirely new campaign, depending on whether or not you rolled high or not. Thank God you didn't.
Yeah,
I guess. No.
I rolled like a 7 on that, and the block of salt that was spawned in.
You threw like an inch cube at him.
Yeah.
You just picked it up. Slug here, right? Slug 5 feet away. Throws the block of salt 1 foot.
That was hilarious.
Yes, we like the good.
The slug was just staring at us like, brother.
You know what I imagined it was? It was like the gray snail from Turbo, but just really, really big.
With arms.
Which Grace? White Shadow?
White Shadow.
Huh, I could see that.
Yeah, and without all the cool racy parts.
My image was you guys watch Monsters University, right?
Yes.
Do you guys remember that snail monster that was like?
No.
The one who was late to school?
No.
Nope. I am not well versed in Pixar.
Was the image that the DM pulled up on his phone.
I just okay, I'm not picturing that. It's too painful.
You know, since it was the house, were there other like massive slug demons living in that house? Do you
No,
think?
he seemed like a solitary slaver kind of guy.
Also, who'd want to make out with that thing?
A lady slug that looked just like him, except a lady.
Fair enough.
Yeah, like if they have the same demonic mentality.
Yes.
For example, would I'm trying to think of a human-sized creature.
An elf.
No, like an actual human-sized creature.
A satyr?
No, an animal.
Oh.
Cyclops.
I said like a real something that exists in this current world.
Something
Monkey.
that orangutan.
Would an orangutan like to make out with a human? Or would we look ugly and hairless to the orangutan?
We would look ugly and
Probably
hairless.
the second one.
And then does an orangutan look ugly and hairy to a human?
Yes.
A little bit.
Yeah, kind of.
Do you think orangutans look beautiful to each other?
Well played.
David is using
5
animal
points
logic.
exactly.
Very interesting.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever encounter a discussion with David Bainey, run. Run for your lives. He will chase you until the game is over.
Side note of Cyclops, we're reading the Odyssey in English right now.
We just got to the Cyclops.
So is basically Odysseus always like having storms or lightning being sent at his boat, him critically failing when he rolls for perception? Because it kind of is. Because
on the bright side, his charisma stat is overpowered.
yeah, if Zeus is the DM and he's and if Odysseus is always like failing, then Zeus is obviously gonna send a lightning bolt at him.
Pretty much. But his charisma stat, OP as heck. I wish to be as charismatic as the man. No, I
And
do not.
strong. Like,
Well,
he
your
has
charisma's right, like 19 right now.
Yeah,
right?
exactly. That's why I'm gonna abuse this charisma power excessively.
You know, his Odysseus' stats are like 20, 20, 20, 20, 20.
Yeah,
20,
honestly,
20.
dude,
and
your
then his
stats
rolls
are-
are not one, not one, not one.
Well,
not one,
okay,
not
wait,
one.
let
Honestly,
me check
his
that
stats
out.
are not great. He has 3. He has 2 -1s.
Right now, his strength, I'd say that's like a meager 12. He hasn't beat anybody up yet.
Yeah, true. His dexterity, though,
No,
I'd give it a.
but do you remember the
12.
discus throw?
Oh, the
Ooh,
discus
the
throw.
disc throw does apply.
But wasn't he like given powers by the gods?
Technically, yeah. No,
mean,
wasn't he? Wasn't
no.
isn't his dad a god?
No, I don't think so.
No. Who's that?
I think he might be from a godly line, but we're off topic.
Yeah,
of
we're off
D&D.
topic again.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to the story.
My new character is a tiefling rogue. Yes, I'm sticking with the rogue thing. Bainey, I will be a warlock or sorcerer next time.
I think you should go warlock. We already have a sorcerer.
Okay, fine. I'll multi-class into sorcerer and change to warlock. How's that?
Alright.
Anyways, I am a tiefling rogue known as Roy Mustang. If any of you have watched Full Metal Alchemist, you'll know why. I have the spell Hellish Rebuke, which basically sends a giant blast of fire at my opponent, whoever hits me. Now you guys piece it together why I'm called Roy Mustang. Also would definitely recommend Full Metal Alchemist to watch. And with that, I must bid you all adieu. I got PE.
Yeah, Diego has to leave now, but David's still here. So after Diego was oofed, we ventured back to the city, and there was a lord that we were talking to because he would give us money for killing these devils. But then we noticed this guy with some goo coming out of his cave. Would you like to expand, David?
Yeah, so when we first met this guy, he was taking us into the cave where we ultimately found the portal that led us into the demon world. And I noticed some gooey stuff coming out of his cloak, and I showed it to some people after the fact, so he wasn't suspicious of us and didn't try and ambush us. Well, later when we were coming back, I was like craning my neck to look at the gooey stuff, and he noticed me. And I'm a monk raised in a monastery, so I cannot lie, like, at all. I'm terrible at lying.
you're
My
too
charisma
moral.
is -1, and I don't have any deception advantages, so I get a -1 on deception rolls.
Wait, are monks naturally, do they have a charisma debuff?
No, monks don't none of the classes have a natural debuff in anything.
Oh.
But as a character, it makes more sense for a monk. It's easier to play a monk in character if they're honest with a lesser charisma stat because they're usually raised in secluded monasteries.
The only problem with that is that if there's like some evil, cunning devil lord that just like takes advantage of your low charisma and tricks you into doing something.
That's wisdom, not charisma, where somebody's tricking you into doing something. Charisma is how easy you can trick somebody into doing stuff.
Oh.
Insight is a wisdom skill, so...
please note that I am not a aficionado in all the D&D stats. David is clearly more intelligent in this. And basically, we went back, we saw the guy, he had the cloak, and then we tried to tell this guy that he has goo coming out of his cloak.
Yeah, so, like, he took me aside, and, like, everybody came with me except for Rafa, who failed to convince the person to split Diego's pay since he died with the rest of us. And so we're like, never let Rafa do charisma checks. But anyway, so we come out and I say, yeah, there's some goo on your cloak. And he's like, huh? Where? I don't see it. And I keep pointing it out. And eventually he's like, okay, you weren't supposed to see that. He turns into a giant red gelatinous blob thing and sinks into the floor and disappears. And we're all looking around like, what just happened? We're like, how do we fight him? I want to fight this guy, but we can't. Where is he? Is he in the ground?
I feel like he transported to like the lower floor and then went off to some other part in the city. Like he could reconfigure his DNA.
Transported?
Transported.
He just sunk into the floor.
Oh, so maybe he's stuck in the floorboards and is slowly dying.
He is a gelatinous blob. Just like oozes. We weren't even in the bottom floor. He'll just ooze through the floor and then come out of the roof, or maybe into the cellar if it was the bottom floor. And then he can just run away.
That's like in Ghostbusters, you know how the.
Yes, that's true.
Okay.
But one thing I'd like to know. I was once doing a different D&D campaign, and we hit the slime blob with a lightning attack, and then the slime blob split into 2 different slime blobs. So, be careful with lightning on a slime blob.
Yeah, so it's like a Hydra. It would like multiply, and then, well, yeah, because it's split, and then 2, and then more and more, and then you have an entire slime colony. And also, we went off more adventuring to kill more devils, but I think this time we should actually try to find more about the lore and try to find Beelzebub.
Well, also there's the thing that like, when the slug released us, he's like, you have to do as I command. And his command was not for us to return home, because after we left, we had this sudden urge to go westward, as if the slug guy was commanding us move westward. And so that's where we're going. And I'm sitting here thinking, if an evil slug monster commands us to go west, why is that the first thing everybody thinks to do?
That's some good insight, not gonna lie.
Of course, I kind of wanted to go west while I didn't think it was a good idea, I had no other idea on where to go, because like D&D campaign, there's gotta be a lead somewhere. So,
I feel like he might just have another slug friend that he knows is over there, and then somebody else might get oofed.
Ooh, a girlfriend. We're the engagement present.
Oh yes, we're the extra gifts. We're the flowers that he's giving to his girlfriend. Then she's gonna like the old slug back. That's definitely how D&D logic works.
I mean, if that actually happened.
You know, I was really thinking that the slime guy, he was like a courier for Beelzebub, and then if we could find out like if he had a tattoo and there's like some layer with that symbol, then we could trace it.
But keep in mind, in his house he had. So we found this picture of Beelzebub.
But it was a mimicking.
In a book. Yeah, I found one in a book, doing independent research inside our campaign. My character did. And then when we got to the layer with the lizard people and the portal and everything, we found another picture of Beelzebub. But my character remembered seeing it enroll in the book after I succeeded on a religion check. And basically, it was like making fun of Beelzebub. And like, it was... Wait, was Beelzebub a demon or a devil?
He was one of those, but he was like altered to look kind of weaker or jokingly mimicking him.
Yeah, it was like mocking him, and we found the same picture in the demon's lair. And the slug, or I think it was a devil. I think Beelzebub is a demon, and the slugs are devils. And so, like, we found a mocking.
The painting, basically, it was attacking him because probably the devils don't like the demons.
Yeah, and so it's probably not Beelzebub who the slug is working for. Because, like, if the slug comes to his house and sees it, it'd be like if you walked into if you were an evil genius and you walked into your
opponent's...
not your opponent's.
Your rival.
Not your rival. Like your servant's house.
Yeah.
And you found a picture of you with, like, a weird
with like a
curly mustache and, like, evil eyebrows,
and like a smoke coming out of your nose.
What are you gonna think about that person? Like, if you're an evil genius, you're just gonna be like, stab him in the back, like, no mocking me, or like maybe not stab him in the back, but like definitely get mad at him because.
You know, theoretically, if the next enemy that's big is a slug, I'm gonna do some research on what kills slugs other than salt.
Slugs.
What? We might just have to, like, send a beam of, like, energy into his core and then...
Oh, yeah. In the magic room, I succeeded on a nat 20 wisdom check. Or perception check. And I noticed that the entire room was suffused with
Oh,
energy.
yeah. It's basically like a nuke.
If anybody were to cast any kind of spell, it would basically... Like, the energy was the amount of energy in a nuke, right? Like Rafa said. And if you were to do a spell, the energy would go off and set off a nuke. So, like, we were afraid to use spells against the demon until he took us outside. In which case, Wynn used a spell. The baby gnome.
Yes, the baby gnome Wynn.
Who was like a guitar axe. He made a 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot cube of salt. And we're like, Rafa, throw the salt at the slime. At the slug, and he failed. So
yeah, you know, Wynn's power of creation. He gets it once every long rest. He can create one non-magical item within 10 feet of him, probably to decent size.
He should have made the 1 foot by 1 foot by 1 foot cube of salt on top of the slug.
No, but it has to be within 10 feet of him.
Was Wynn within 10 feet of the slug?
No, he'd have to, like, run up, and then we'd risk Wynn, like, getting KO'd.
But it's better if Wynn gets KO'd than Diego gets turned into a demon and KO'd.
And also, if Wynn ever has to jump over a pit of lava, we're severely going to get debuffed because he's 1 foot tall. He would get disadvantage, I'm pretty sure.
That is why
we
have rope.
Yeah, we have rope. But luckily, my dexterity is high. I'm not too worried. And funny thing, when we were in the slug's palace or whatever, Diego, he tried to jump up like 50 feet, but he failed because the DM wouldn't let him.
Yeah, no jumping 50 feet high. I did manage to jump 25 feet down without taking any damage because I'm a monk, and monks have slow fall when they reach level 4. So I just kind of landed. I did that. I imagined myself jumping down, doing that little roll thing that people do in the movies that reduces the damage they take. I'm like, yeah, you guys are losers. And then when the slug came to take us away, I ran, and then the slug used the force on me. And I'm like, okay, this slug has the force, people. This slug has the force.
I think this will end our 13th episode, D&D Dungeon 2. Say thank you to David and Diego, and I guess I'll see you guys next week. Hope you enjoyed the episode, and we'll give you more updates on our D&D campaign later on. Bye!